Sue Hackett said that her favorite flowers are snapdragons because they're just like her. Part of them is snap and the rest is dragon. A man was short of some money, so he decided he's going to rob somebody. So he comes up across Sue Rodolini, and he said, "There, give me all of your money." She said, "But I don't have any money." So he frisked her up and down, down and up, all over. And he said, "Wait, you really don't have no money?" She said, "No, but if you do that again, I'll write you a check." Marjorie Ponton saw that the next door neighbor's house was on fire, so she ran to the kitchen. She dialed 911. She's so excited. She's so frantic because the neighbor's house was on fire. And she said, "Please, hurry, hurry." And they said, "Well, calm down, Marguerite. Just tell us, how do we get there?" She said, "Duh, the big red truck." Alicia decides to go out for a walk. She comes to a river and she sees Jean Hall over on the other side of the river. "Yoo-hoo," she says. "How can I get to the other side?" And Jean looked up the river and down the river, and she hollered back over to Alicia, "You are on the other side." Well, let me tell you about some Connecticut folks. Rudolph Miller dashed into the pharmacy and asked the druggist for something to stop hiccups. So the druggist filled a glass full of water and threw the water right in Rudolph's face. And Rudolph said, "Why'd you do that?" The druggist said, "Well, you don't have the hiccups anymore, do you?" He said, "Nope, never did. My wife in the car is the one that does." Well, this is a good one right here. Steve Logan took his wife to the doctor, and the doctor examined Claire, took Steve over to the side and said, "Steve, I don't like the looks of your wife at all." And Steve said, "Me neither, Doc. But she's a great cook and really good with the kids." Oh, and talking about going to the doctor, Marie Hall just went to the doctor. She showed up one day at work just looking beat, just absolutely wore out. And somebody said, "What happened to you? You look awful, Marie." She said, "Well, it's just new medicine the doctor's got me on. He said to take it for 3 days and skip a day, take it for 3 more days and skip a day. And I've been doing that for a month, and all this skipping is wearing me out." Let me tell you, this is a sad one right here. It's sad. Rusty had a near-death experience. Really, he was going horseback riding. You know, he likes to ride. So he got on the horse one day, and the horse immediately sprang into action. And it started galloping and galloping, and he was sliding from, he was about to fall off of that saddle. So he couldn't get a firm grip on it. Decided he'd try to hold on to the horse's neck and put his arms around that horse's neck. And he couldn't get his arms around the horse's neck, and it was going faster and faster and faster. So he thought, well, I need to just jump off this thing. But his foot got tangled in the stirrup. And it just bounced harder and harder and harder, and it didn't even slow down. And you know, he would have been hurt real bad if the Walmart greeter hadn't come out and unplugged the horse. Let me tell you, Carl Bernhardt was driving down the freeway and his cell phone rang. And when he answered it, it was Marge. And she said, Carl, I just heard on the news there's a car going the wrong way on the interstate. Please, please be careful. He said, it's not just one car, it's hundreds of them. Well, Cal and Linda Chase. Well, this is sad too. They had had some problems and they'd been going to the marriage counselor. And so when they arrived at the counselor's office, he jumped right in and opened up the discussion, and he said, what seems to be the problem? Well, Cal just held his head down. He didn't know what to say. And of course, Linda started talking 90 miles an hour, describing all the things that was wrong in their marriage. And so after about 15 minutes of listening to Linda, the counselor said, now wait just a minute, wait just a minute. So he ran over to her, he picked her up by the shoulders, and he kissed her passionately. And then he sat back down. Well, of course, she was speechless. And so the counselor looked over at Cal and he said, now, your wife needs this at least twice a week. Cal said, well, okay. I can have her here on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So went to the doctor to get a physical. A few days later, the doctor saw him walking down the street with a gorgeous girl on his arm. The next week, he was at the doctor's for a checkup, and the doctor said, you are really doing great, aren't you? He said, sure, I'm doing just what you said. Get a hot mama and be cheerful. The doctor said, well, I didn't say that. I said, you've got a heart murmur. Be careful. Lester Gibbs just totaled his car in a terrible, terrible accident. But miraculously, he managed to get himself out of that car. And the state trooper arrived, and the state trooper said, my Lord, son, what has happened here? Your car looks like an accordion. Are you okay? And Les said, well, yeah, I think I'm just fine. And he said, well, how in the world did this happen? So Lester said, it's the strangest thing. I was driving home along this road, from out of nowhere, a tree popped right into my vision, right in front of me. So I swerved to the right, and there was another tree. So I swerved to the left, and there was another tree. So I swerved to the right, and there was another tree. And so the officer said, there is not a tree on this road for 30 miles. That's your air freshener swinging back and forth. Well, Beth Merrill and Hannah West are watching the 6 o'clock news, and they see a woman threatening to throw herself off the bridge. So Hannah looks over at Beth and she says, I bet you $20 she'd jump. So Beth says, you're on. I'll take that bet. So they watch the news, and the woman eventually jumps off the bridge. So Beth pays the $20. Then Hannah says, oh, I just can't take it. I can't take it. I saw the news earlier, and it had the same story on. So Beth said, well, yeah, so did I, but I didn't think she jumped the second time. Now, those are some stories about your friends. Wasn't that good stuff?